Many people work harder, plan better, and chase more goals, yet still feel stuck. Not for lack of effort, not because they're doing it wrong. There's something deeper at play, something most people never see. The feeling of being stuck isn't what most assume. It's not about circumstances, productivity, or progress. It's about perception. When someone says they feel stuck, they're often describing a thought, not a fact. A quiet belief that life should be different than it is. That feeling isn't the problem, it's a signal. But few pause long enough to hear what it's really saying. Think of someone who travels constantly. New cities, new experiences, always moving. On paper, life looks exciting, but underneath there's a quiet emptiness. Or consider someone climbing the career ladder, promotions, recognition, all the external markers of success. Yet late at night, a nagging question appears. Is this it? The motion is real. The busyness is real. But the feeling of being stuck remains, because staying busy can feel like progress while avoiding something deeper. And that avoidance doesn't announce itself. It hides behind achievement, distraction, and pleasure. Here's the shift most people miss. Feeling stuck isn't a failure. It's a phase, a natural rhythm of life, like winter before spring. Resistance to that phase creates suffering. The anxiety, overwhelm, and frustration come from fighting what is, from believing life must look a certain way right now. But what if being stuck wasn't something to escape? What if it was an invitation, not to fix, not to force, but to let go? Most people approach being stuck like a problem to solve. They add more plans, more habits, more tools. But the feeling doesn't come from a lack of doing. It comes from clinging to outdated values, old versions of themselves, and beliefs about who they should be. Think about approval seeking. Early in life, fitting in matters. It's how humans learn. But at some point, chasing external validation becomes a trap. The person keeps performing, people-pleasing, and adjusting, all while feeling hollow inside. Not because they're failing, but because they've outgrown that stage and haven't let it go. The stuckness is the signal. Life moves through stages. Early on, people imitate what works. Then they explore, testing boundaries and trying new things. Eventually, they commit, choosing what matters and going deep. Later, they contribute and leave something behind. Each stage asks for different values. But people get trapped when they stay in exploration mode, chasing novelty and avoiding commitment, or in achievement mode, measuring worth by external success. The stage worked once, but life moved on, and they didn't. Now, every effort feels hollow because there's a mismatch between who they are and what they're still chasing. Feeling stuck isn't the problem. Refusing to evolve is. There's a common belief that happiness comes from achieving goals or maximizing pleasure. So people optimize, chasing experiences, accomplishments, and status. For a while, it works. Then something shifts. The pleasure fades faster, and the wins feel emptier. Meaning doesn't come from accumulation, it comes from alignment. From choosing values and living by them. From contributing to something beyond personal gain. Many people hit this crossroads and panic. They double down on what used to work: more travel, more ambition, more distraction. But the stuckness deepens because the real need isn't more. It's different. A shift from taking to giving, from chasing to choosing, from controlling to allowing. So what breaks the cycle? Not more effort, not a better plan. Something quieter. Something most people resist until they can't anymore. The way out of feeling stuck begins with surrender. Not giving up and not quitting, but releasing the grip on how life should look. Letting go of the belief that things must be fixed right now. Surrender isn't passive, it's perspective. Resistance creates suffering, not the circumstance itself. When someone stops fighting the phase they're in, clarity returns. Gradually, not dramatically, like fog lifting. They don't suddenly have all the answers, but they stop demanding them. And in that space, something new can emerge. Go back to the traveler, the one constantly moving and always seeking. At some point, they sit still, not because they planned to, but because they're exhausted. In that stillness comes a realization. The running wasn't towards something, it was away. Or the person climbing the ladder eventually pauses and questions the climb, not with answers, but with honesty. And that honesty isn't a setback. It's the beginning of alignment. Acceptance doesn't mean settling. It means seeing clearly. It means recognizing where energy is wasted fighting reality and redirecting it toward what matters. Many people confuse acceptance with resignation, but resignation is passive. It's giving up. Acceptance is active. It's choosing clarity over control. When someone accepts where they are, they stop pretending and performing for validation. They stop chasing what once mattered but no longer does. From that ground, real movement becomes possible, aligned, not forced or frantic. When someone stops resisting, patterns become visible. They notice how they've been seeking externally what can only be found internally and defining success by old standards. The questions change, from how do I get unstuck to what am I clinging to? From what's wrong with me to what stage am I trying to outgrow? Slowly, priorities shift. From impressing others to honoring themselves, from chasing accomplishments to building meaning, from accumulating experiences to deepening connections. The stuckness doesn't disappear overnight, but it loses its grip because it's no longer being fed by resistance. Fulfillment doesn't come from eliminating discomfort. It comes from alignment. From accepting where life is, choosing values that matter, and letting go of the need to control every outcome. Feeling stuck isn't a problem to solve. It's a transition point, a signal that something is shifting. The people who move through it aren't the ones who fight hardest. They're the ones who learn to let go. Being stuck isn't failure. It's a stage, a natural pause before the next chapter. What creates suffering isn't the pause but the resistance to it, the belief that life should be different right now. When someone surrenders that belief, clarity emerges, not with all the answers but with enough trust to move forward. Not by forcing, but by allowing. That shift, from control to acceptance, is where real growth begins. Which part of this resonated most with you? Share your experience in the comments below. If this helped you, like the video, and subscribe to continue the journey toward a better mindset.